You have to be prepared for every single scenario because you just absolutely never know. And sometimes it's that magic that creates the most iconic look. Sometimes it's like the one thing you didn't expect is what goes viral because it's just in the moment, it just happened.
Welcome to Cutting Edge, the podcast, created and brought to you by L'Oréal Professionnel Products, an exclusive series about the world's top hairstylists. Through their unique stories, visions, and voices, these rule-breaking artists from around the world share their journeys to success and how they are shaping the future of hairstyling and professional beauty, and how they are elevating the profession to new heights. In these 3 new exclusive episodes, we are partnering with L'Oréal Professionnel on the occasion of the iconic Style and Color Trophy competition and meeting their 3 jury members. Today, I am sitting down with Cesar Deleon Ramirez, a world-renowned celebrity hairstylist known for his incredible work with global icons such as Cassie, Karol G, and the Kardashians, among others. We discuss his Puerto Rican origins and culture, the importance of dreaming big, and the power of dedication and building confidence. A podcast series produced by L'Oréal Professionnel Products.
Hi, I'm Cesar Deleon Ramirez, 45 years old, and I am from Puerto Rico. I am a hairstylist, a creative director, a best friend, and a content creator. I am neurotic, very critical. My personal mission with hairstyling is to continue to elevate and build community within our industry. Being a hairstylist is being a rock star. It's the best career in the whole world.
So, hello, Cesar.
Hello.
I'm very happy to have you with us today on Cutting Edge, the podcast.
I'm very honored to be here.
Thank you. So we are in Paris recording this new season of Cutting Edge, the podcast in collaboration with Style and Color Trophy.
Yes.
And you are here today with us because you are a celebrity hairstylist, also a new member of the L'Oréal Professionnel family. So congratulations.
Yes. Thank you very much.
And for the first year, a jury member of the Style and Color Trophy. So congrats. I cannot wait to see the competition.
Me too. I'm so excited.
Great.
I'm very excited.
So during Cutting Edge, the podcast, we really record the most famous hairstylists worldwide or the hairstylists who really shaped a different way to work their career, their path. And so we really want to take from the best to give, inspiration, piece of advice to the young generation. So
nice.
To start and to understand a little bit more about your past, I wanted to get back on your childhood and understand a little bit more where you're from.
Okay, awesome. Well, as a young child, I was born in New Jersey, and then I was transplanted over back to Puerto Rico, which is where my family's from originally. And I grew up there till I was 13. Then I went back to the main land and went back to New Jersey. And I was there pretty much most of my life. I grew up in a family where it was all about beauty, and a lot of the women in my family went to beauty school.
Okay, so it was your first encounter with beauty, connection with beauty?
Yeah, I mean, I would say so. The women in my family were very, very, as Latinas, it's just part of the culture to just be very, very into beauty trends and always looking put together and always having their hair done and their nails and their makeup and their wardrobe. So it's part of the culture.
One of the members of your family had a salon, no?
Yeah, so my mom's cousin owned a beauty salon, and all of her friends, my mom's friends, because they're about the same age, so they grew up together as really close friends, even though they were cousins, and then all of their friends worked at the salon. So there was a family salon, and everyone that worked there I consider family, but it was just more like family, friends, and cousins, yeah.
And so you used to work there? Or
no, I was too young. I was too young, but to be honest, I was already kind of doing hair. Like I would sweep and shampoo if I could. And I learned how to blow dry very early there. And I learned Had to braid hair very early as well. So I wasn't technically working there, but I was already picking up my skills.
Yeah, and you liked it already? You were already thinking, oh, maybe one day I'm going to be a hairstylist?
Absolutely not. I really never thought that that's something I wanted to do.
Okay.
I don't know what it is, but as a young child, I had like a huge vision. Like I always just saw like this premonition or a prevision or something of my future. And I just wanted it to be a lot bigger. And so when I thought of the hair salon at that time, I just thought hair salons were only like these little places where like families worked and like you would never left your neighborhood. You were just going to be there forever. And so as a kid, I'm like, I love everyone here, but it's not what I want to do. I want to like see the world. I want to get out of here. I don't want to be stuck in my hometown.
And you discover many things thanks to this métier.
I mean, it's ironic because it's like what I thought I didn't want to do so that I wouldn't be stuck is actually what took me far away from there. Yeah.
Amazing. And so finally, how did you arrive in the hairstyling world, right?
I started at 17.
Okay.
And so when I went to high school, I was very blessed because my high school had a cosmetology class, which is very unheard of. A lot of my friends who went to school in other neighborhoods, they had to pay for cosmetology school. And my mom was a single mom and she worked nonstop all the time, but she would have never been able to afford sending me to beauty school. So I mean, it was meant to be that I just was in that school. And again, it's interesting because we had just moved to this town and it just so happens that the school had a cosmetology program. And so I was able to go to school, like normal high school, but also take cosmetology courses. So by the time I graduated, I had a cosmetology license. But at the same time, after school, I would work in hair salons.
And if I'm not mistaken, you had someone who really trusted you, a teacher, a mentor?
Yes. So again, like I said, I didn't really want to do hair. So even though I took cosmetology, it was more because I had friends that took cosmetology and I thought they were cool. And I'm like, oh, well, they're going to cosmetology school. I want to go to cosmetology. And so I also thought, okay, this is easy. I can do hair. I'll just go to cosmetology school, make money to pay for college, and so that I just have fast, like easy money. But it wasn't
random,
it wasn't where I was gonna stay. Like I didn't know if I wanted to be an actor, a dancer, and then I fell in love with fashion. So I set my mind on going to FIT for fashion school. So I didn't care that much about cosmetology and doing hair. It was just kind of like a step that I wanted to take so that I can like discover or be able to do all these other things. I was a very bad student. So I was like, oh, whatever, I don't care. Like, I'm going to go out and party and blah, blah, blah. And so it was my cosmetology teacher who really saw like a talent in me and would tell me like, if you really focus, one day you'll be like Orbe. If you really focus, one day you'll be like Jose Gilbert. And like she would just say all these famous hairstylist names, and I'm like, I don't know who you're talking about, and like I don't really care. But she really was on it, and she really, if I would not go to school, she would show up at my house in the morning and get me out of bed and get in the car and go to school. I mean, it went even further. So because I didn't attend school so often, I failed like 2 years in a row. And so my third year as a senior in high school, I was 20 years old at that point. And I was an adult. So my high school principal said, you can't come back to school. Like, you're an adult. And so it was my cosmetology teacher who she went to the principal's office and to the school board, and she said, I will take full responsibility of him. I will sign. She signed like a contract. Oh, wow. When I saw that she did that, it really made me feel like, okay, like somebody cares about me and I have to start caring about myself. And if somebody sees something in me, then I need to get focused and I need to start, like I felt like I owed it to her. Like,
so she was convinced of your talent.
If she was more passionate about me really making it than I was, or even anyone in my family.
But what did you think that she saw back then? Specific skills or specific creativity?
Hair to me has always come like second nature. Like it's just in my hands. I feel like the minute I touch hair, it's just like I was meant to be doing it. And so it's always just come very natural.
Intuitive, yeah.
Yeah, intuitive. Very intuitive.
And so I guess you graduated from your cosmetology diploma. And so you started working straight away?
I was already working in high school before I even graduated and before I got the license. And so I worked in a hair salon after school. I would commute like an hour and a half every day on a bus to an area with people who had money because I wanted to work at a salon where the haircut and color and everything cost a lot more so that I could make money. Yeah.
That's when you started to work in New York?
Well, first I worked in New Jersey for a little while.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until 9/11 I took a class with Ruth Roach. And she had just started to venture away from Red. At the time, she was Redken's creative director. And it happened to be 9/9, 9/10, and 9/11. It was 3 days. On the third day, I was running late to class, of course. And as soon as I get into the class, the TV's on and the news and everyone's like freaking out. And they're like, there was a bomb in the World Trade Center. And I'm like, oh. And so we all go out on the balcony. That's when I saw the second plane crash into the World Trade Center. And I remember that in that moment thinking like, it's like the end of the world. But it was the most significant turning point of my entire life.
What do you mean? Like starting to take things seriously and to really step up for yourself? And
It woke something up in me that made me realize life can be gone in a second. And if you don't go after your dreams, it could be gone and you'll never get the opportunity. So you have to live now in the moment today. And you have to do it. Like you can't wait. And so I went home for a week and didn't leave my bedroom because I was very traumatized. And then I walked out of my room finally and I told my mother that I was going to move to New York. And I was going to follow my dream and I was going to become a celebrity hairstylist. And I was going to travel the world and I was going to do everything I wanted to do. And she was like, you are going to move to New York City when everyone's trying to move out of New York City? She's like, you're crazy. I'm like, perfect. There'll be plenty of apartments, lots of room for me.
Amazing.
And so that's what I did. I left New Jersey and I moved into the city. And from there is where everything really started to take off. I went to Ruth first because we had shared this extremely traumatic experience. And I went to her first and I asked her for a job. And she's like, I can't pay you. I just started the company. And I was like, I don't care. I will work for free. Just want to be around you. I just want you to help me get into the industry, anything I can learn. Yeah. So for a while I worked with her and I would do hair, makeup, and make the clothes for her models for her shows. I did it just for the education.
Yeah, so what did you learn from her?
I think she's such a phenomenal woman. Her approach to attacking a haircut is just really creative. And it was for the first time in my life that I got how to cut hair. She had this technique where she would take a pot and a lid, which meant the bottom of the haircut and the top of the haircut. And she's like, you can design the bottom and design the top and put them together and you can change them and you can make different combinations. And that to me made so much sense. And so that's how I approach haircuts, through her techniques. I would say I also learned a lot of business and just how seeing her handle her business and how she carried herself in the industry with respect and how so many people really looked up to her. That was something I wanted to aspire to be. She got me the job at Arrojo Cutler and I worked there for about a year. So it was a team from Bumble and Bumble and a team from Vidal Sassoon. They had merged and created a Rojo Cutler at the time, and it was amazing. It was phenomenal. There's a thing in New York where you have to choose cut or color. And I refused. I'm like, no, I want to do both. And they're like, well, you can't. And I'm like, why not? Why can't I learn both? So I said, I will take both trainings. I will go through a whole year of cutting, and then I'll go through a whole year of color so that I can learn both. And they saw how passionate I was, so they let me do both. And I am really blessed because it was the top, like, best colorists and best cutters from both Bumble and Sassoon in that salon that were the educators, and I learned a lot.
That's funny because at the beginning you said that you never wanted to work in a salon as your mom did, and now you are a famous hairstylist, I guess almost never in a salon, but finally you seem to be super grateful for those years in salon. So what have you learned that you really implement in your job today?
I mean, I would never take away the years of the salon, and I feel like for what I do today, I needed that education from the salon. I needed that experience of salon culture, salon community. I use so much of what I learned in the salon every single day. If I get a celebrity and her hair color's a mess, we don't have time. Like, I have to fix that in the moment, and I have to figure out how to fix this color. And all of the knowledge that I learned in a salon is really what's helped me be able to, like, be quick and know how to solve problems.
And now you're a celebrity hairstylist. So what was the turning point? When do you feel your career changed?
So I worked at a Rojo Cutler for a while, and I had to start all over again because when I was working in New Jersey, I had a clientele and I was making money. But at this point, I had to start all over again and become an assistant and train, and I couldn't afford to live in New York because of that. And so I had to move back home with my mom, and then I would commute 2.5 hours all the way to the Upper East Side, and it took me so long. A lot of times I was late to work, and they fired me. Oh. And I will never, ever forget that feeling of sitting in the office again, like, brought me back to high school in trouble. And, like, being told that I was going to be let go. And I was devastated because I loved all the education I was getting, and I thought I was, like, in the best salon possible ever. And it was just like, what am I going to do? Like, this can't be happening to me. And I remember them saying, we have to make an example of you because we don't want people to be late. It's not acceptable. And I was like, oh my God, it's so harsh. But I left there. I mean, it was in the morning, and it was in the Upper East Side of New York City. And I walked from that salon all the way down to Soho. And I stopped at every single hair salon that I saw on the way and filled out an application for a job. And it took me all day. And so by the time I finally got to Soho, that's when I discovered Dop Dop. And I walked in and I was like, what is this salon? It was this beautiful loft, 2 floors. And I walked in, I'm like, can I fill out an application? And she's like, yeah, fill it out. I filled out the application. And then the next day they called me in for an interview. So the very next day I was there ready for the interview. And I met with Kate Truesdale, who's works for L'Oreal still. She's like a huge mentor of mine. She interviewed me, and I was sitting there. At this point, I was exhausted of having to train and be an assistant and do the training all over again. And so I said, I would like a chair on the floor, and I'm ready to be a full-time stylist. And she's just looking at me like, no, you have to assist for 2 years, and you have to go through our training program. I just was like, no, I can't. Like, I can't do that. Like, I need to be on the floor. I'm ready. And she's like, no, that's not how it works, dear. Like, you have to train with our training program, and then we will decide if you go on the floor and do clients. And I remember just sitting there thinking, no, I'm not doing this again. And so she pulled me to the side, and she was like, listen, I really love your resume, and I really like you and your energy. She's like, I want you to work here. Trust me, go through this program. You're going to learn so much. You're not going to regret it. And I was like, oh, okay.
And
2
so you
years of training again. And I went through all of my training and my classes. I did as much as I could. And they saw it in me. And they're like, okay, you really are. You do got it. So like they fast-tracked me.
Okay.
And I made it on the floor in 11 months. I was only about 22, 23 years old when I was already like on the floor and starting to do clients and take clients. And I had one client who was a huge major publicist still to this day for like the biggest celebrities in the world. She would come in 3 times a week just to get her hair blow dried with me. Oh. And it became the blow dry that I would do on her was at the time like the beginning of the round brush beach wave blowout that became like the Victoria's Secret blowout that everyone at the salon named after me, the Amanda blowout. And so the one day she came in and she asked me if I would do, she's like, would you want to do a photo shoot for one of my clients? She's shooting the cover of GQ magazine. And I was like, oh my God, this is like my opportunity. So I was like, yes, absolutely, I will do it. She's like, yeah, it's this new singer. Her name's Cassie. At the time, there was like no Instagram. There was no social media. So I didn't know who that was. But there was MySpace that had just come out. And so she's like, she's a huge artist on MySpace. She just got signed to a huge label. And she's doing the cover of GQ magazine. And, you know, if you're up for it, you could do the hair. And so I went to the shoot. I did the hair. And then that's like where my celebrity career started.
And then months after months, you started getting more and more celebrity shoots outside the salon. And then you decided to, I guess, quit Dop Dop and become on your own, I guess maybe represented by an agency or something?
At Dop Dop Salon, I would work 5 days a week, which is like the maximum you were allowed. And then the 2 days a week, I would do photo shoots on my own. I would set them up. I would find random models in the city, random other photographers. I would make the clothes, do everything like hair, makeup. And I wanted to build my portfolio. So I would, 7 days a week, I was working in hair. When I did this photo shoot, I was like, perfect, because I felt a little prepared for it. And I did really well that her manager asked me after the shoot if I would go on tour. He said, listen, she really loved you on the shoot. You guys got along really well. She loved her hair. We're going on a tour in Europe, and she would like for you to come.
I cannot imagine.
Yeah, I was like, okay. And he's like, but you have to do both hair and makeup. I had done like horrible makeup at the time. But I'm like, yeah, I can do it. I could do both, you know. I didn't have a makeup kit. I didn't have anything. I didn't really know how to do like makeup on that level to do a celebrity. I went to Barnes and Nobles and I couldn't even afford the books. I remember, and I just sat in the aisle and I would read Kevin Aquan's book and any book that had to do with like, that would teach me how to do makeup very fast. I read it, and I went to this pharmacy and I bought the cheapest makeup in the pharmacy. My boyfriend at the time saw that and was so proud of me. So he bought me a suitcase to make a kit because I didn't even have a kit. And 2 weeks later, I was in Europe, it was like my first time ever. And I started touring. We made such great visuals that a lot of celebrities were like, wow, who is this girl? She's gorgeous. Her hair's amazing. So then they started calling me and booking me. And then I got an agent because I was getting celebrities asking for me. So I was about 24 when I started touring. Amazing. And have been touring ever since.
I had a poster of Cassie in my room.
You
so I
did.
guess you were in my room
you
all this time.
You probably had a picture of my hair in your room.
Yes, I was a big fan. And so you moved to LA, and now you work in LA since a few years now. You are a celebrity hairstylist, but in reality, we don't really know that much what it means. So can you explain us a little bit?
It's very similar to being a hairstylist behind the chair, but it's also a very different world. build a relationship with one person and you're very, very responsible for that image of that person, you know? And so I love that because I love being a part of a team that puts together a visual that really tells a story and that trickles into all other parts in all other industries. And that's how I feel like it is with working with a celebrity, because they pretty much are the visual that the world sees, and then trends come from that. Yeah. And it's us behind it that are putting those things on those celebrities to create those trends. Yeah. And then it goes into salons.
Of course.
So it's kind of an ecosystem, and we all sort of work together. It all kind of feeds each other. And I would say the parts that are a lot the same is like, we're still playing the therapist.
Yes.
We're still the best friend. Yeah. We're still that person who's the first one in the room, who doesn't get to sleep, who's the last one to leave, who has to make sure that person is well taken care of and that they feel beautiful and that they feel good. And that's the magic and the power of people in the beauty industry.
But how does it work? For example, I am, let's say, Karol G, and I come to you saying, I'm doing the Super Bowl in 2 months. I would like to look like this. Or you arrive with creative ideas?
It's a little bit both. And I think with every client, it's a little different. Specifically with Karol, it's very collaborative. She has a very strong vision of her creative and what she wants to look like and what she wants her visuals to look like in her project. So for example, the last project that we worked on, it was very colorful and she played with a lot of different hair colors. And so we went from blue to red to green. We played with pinks, and then we were a platinum. So we really got to play a lot with color. And then more in this album, it was something that we've always really collaborated on. Like, I would bring her ideas. She would throw out, like, this is what I want to feel like, and this is what the project looks like. Okay. You know, like, we're shooting a lot of this in Hawaii, and it's a lot of flowers and a lot of, like, you know, happiness, and she would give the energy, and then I would come with the ideas. Well, I think a hair color like this and this length, and so it's very collaborative and yeah.
But how do you find your creative ideas? Because I guess when you are working with superstars, they need to have unique looks, like almost never seen before. So how do you find inspiration?
Sometimes when I try really hard to plan ahead of things, it gives me too much time to talk myself out of it. So a lot of times I go in, and just the minute you put your hands in hair, it just kind of starts to come intuitive to you. It becomes very intuitive. But also, I like to say that traveling around the world and seeing a lot of different things, seeing different cultures, and just being really immersed in art, and just always expanding your mind outside of your everyday world, I feel like really helps you bring in inspiration and ideas. I can come to Paris and immediately see like certain things that people are doing, and I'm like, I think that's going to become a trend. You know, like. Do
you think Karol G will have a bob? A blonde bob?
I might steal your cut and try it on her.
I'm gonna look. So, what is the most challenging for you? Is it photo shoots, video clips, fashion shows, TV shows?
All of it.
All of it.
I mean, every day is a different day. Every day looks different. Every day is a different country. We literally do everything. I mean, especially with Karol, like one day we could be shooting a music video, and then the next day, you know, she's singing in front of, you know, a huge audience. And then the day after that, we're doing a campaign for a brand.
And so what is the most challenging for you?
What's challenging is being prepared for the next thing, because when it's every single day, like you have to be prepared. And a lot of times, like if we're on a music video and it's a 20-hour music video, sometimes it's 20 hours, and you don't get to sleep, and then you have to prepare for the next job, and that job requires 5 wigs. So it's like I have to have a team. I have to have assistants. I have to have like a lot of information ahead of time, and I have to prepare and be very organized. And the challenge sometimes is that they may not approve a creative till the last minute.
Yeah.
And so we're bringing the entire studio with us because I don't know. Sometimes I can work on a wig for 3 days and get there and she's like, actually, I want to do this. And I have to be like, okay, I have it. Like, imagine if I'm like, well, sorry, I worked on this and I don't have what you're asking for.
Yeah.
Never. That's never happened.
So what qualities do you think make a good celebrity hairstylist?
Being over-prepared. You have to. You have to be prepared for every single scenario because you just absolutely never know. And sometimes it's that magic that creates the most iconic look. Sometimes it's like the one thing you didn't expect is what goes viral because it's just in the moment, it just happened. And you have to be open to letting go of what you want and being open to doing what is asked of you.
Yeah, be resilient and not take things too personally and move on.
You cannot take things personally in this industry. You just can't.
Karol G, she's not super famous yet in Northern Europe. I think it's much in the US and in maybe Spain and Latin country. But you work a lot with Latin celebrities who have a background with Latin countries in Latin America. Mm-hmm. Why is that? Is that a wish that you had?
I did have a wish because I did want to work with Latin artists because it's my world. It's where I come from and I wanted to be a part of it and I wanted to celebrate it. But also I felt that there was a point where it needed a little bit of elevation in a sense. And I felt like I had something to add to that world. And I mean, I didn't really do a lot of Latin artists until more recently because I worked more with American artists for many, many years. And I worked with all the Kardashians for a very long time. And it was great, and I loved everything I got to create there. But I'm like, I feel like I can bring something else somewhere else, and I feel like I can really almost be more of like a big fish in a small pond as opposed to a small fish in a big pond.
Yeah, I understand. And you are also really known for your mastery of wigs. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit more about this technique? And this,
it's funny because I always say I've been doing wigs for almost 30 years. And when I started, it was all about making them look so natural that no one ever knew that you were wearing a wig. And you would never tell someone that you put a wig on someone. And the person would never say they were wearing a wig. And then the industry has changed so much that it's like an accessory now. And it's such a normal part of pop culture and in music, and young girls are just walking around wearing wigs because they want to wear a pink wig or they want to like change their color or they just see their celebrities doing it, so they want to do it. And it took a long time for people to recognize that I had that skill because everything I ever did never looked like I was doing wigs, but I was almost everything I have ever done, looking at my portfolio, is a wig. It's a compliment because no one ever knew that they were wigs. But at the same time, it kind of didn't allow me to get the recognition that I felt I deserved because I wasn't telling anyone about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I did it. Acknowledge me. You were working in this industry since many years now and in the celebrity hairstyling industry. Has it changed yourself? You have a big presence on social media. You put yourself forward.
I think that the biggest change has been the pace of how things change all the time.
Yeah.
Like with social media, a person on Instagram now can become a celebrity. So like working with a celebrity, they're almost competing with the normal everyday person who at home can build a huge following on Instagram and be creating trends themselves. So there's this world where there's a bit of a competition in a sense. Like the celebrities really have to constantly be bringing trends, and they have to constantly be providing something visually new and stimulating, that's a huge change. Because back when I started, someone would do a project as a celebrity and that project would go on for a year. And then you would change something. Now it's every other day. Yeah.
And do you think that to be on social media yourself and to have a strong presence is also a part of your success?
I do. I feel like if I allow me to be known for just being a celebrity hairstylist, that could be gone tomorrow.
Okay.
And so me building myself as a brand is a way of me almost having security within my industry and having a security for myself that I'm my own brand and I'm my own identity. And sometimes when people say you're a celebrity hairstylist, I'm always like, I'm a lot more than a celebrity hairstylist. Like it's a great title and I love that I have that title, but I'm more multifaceted than that. And I think just a hairstylist alone is so powerful. Anywhere I go and someone asks me, what do you do? I never say I'm a celebrity hairstylist. I say I'm a hairstylist. And immediately they're like, oh, wow. Cool. Can I ask you for your advice? Can I, like, what should I do with my hair? Like, and immediately it starts a conversation. People immediately feel comfortable and warm. Like, they're like, I feel safe. You're a hairstylist. I want to talk to you about anything.
I looked at your Instagram account and it's interesting because you show a lot of the backstage of what you do with a celebrity. So I guess people like that, to be a little mouse and to see what's happening. But also what you said is that you brand yourself almost like an influencer. So we want to know more about yourself. And I think it's a good strategy. I wanted to know also about, your collaboration with high-end brands, including L'Oréal. And why do you think it's important to hairstyling community, and how do you see those collaborations?
Well, first of all, to me, L'Oreal has always been the epitome of the hair care world. It's just, to me, the one brand that I've always just loved and have worked with and aspired to be a part of a L'Oreal team, a part of the brand. And so it continues to allow the community and the culture of hairstyling to continue living. Like, we live in a world where industries are diminishing and a lot of technology and AI is taking over. And being someone who's 45 years old, I've seen so many things go away. And I think that us who are the image makers and influencers and working with brands is a way of keeping that community alive. And it's a way of keeping the culture of hairstyling alive and beauty world alive, because it could easily be taken away by AI.
Yeah. How have you seen the industry evolve, and how do you expect it to evolve in the future?
One thing that I've seen it evolve is I've seen it become a little bit more sustainable and a bit more conscious and just more responsible of what it is that we're putting on our clients. I'm a vegan, and to me, it's very important to work with brands that believe in cruelty-free production. And so to me, I feel like that's a huge change that I've seen in the industry. And I think it's super important. And I think it's also very responsible. We want people to be healthy as much as we want them to be beautiful.
And also L'Oréal Professionnel is very involved into mental health for hairstylists, especially with the Head Up program. And that was a question that I wanted to ask. How do you manage to have a good balance between your personal life and professional life?
I don't know if I have a balance, to be honest. I'm a workaholic, and I can't ever turn this machine off and this brain off. And it's 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm messaging my managers and my team, and I'm like, we need to reshoot this. We need to do this photos again. We need to, it's just nonstop.
But you like it?
I love it. I do love it. I would love more balance. And I think, to answer your question, I think it's having a team, having a very strong support system, and having people who really love you and people who support your vision and work to help you bring that vision to life. COVID taught me that. I worked all the time. And when when we went into the pandemic, I got to like take a break and I got to sit down. I'm like, wow, like I still have a career and I still can work and I can actually choose what I want to do now. Like I don't have to do every single thing. I thought if I missed one thing, I was going to lose my job. I would lose it all because, you know, like I don't work in a salon anymore. So it's not like I just go to the salon and do clients. Like if
paid.
my phone doesn't ring and say, can you work today? And it doesn't ring for 2 or 3 or 4 days, you start to like get really freaked out. And so, yeah, COVID taught me to put myself first and to do things that make me healthy from the inside. And meditation, I took a bunch of like meditation retreats and health and fitness and working out. So I think it's very, very important to treat yourself first, because if you don't, you really can't give to your clients.
Yeah. What advice would you give to a young hairstylist entering the industry?
Don't be afraid. I think my secret weapon from a young age was I was so scared, so I did everything that I was afraid to do. Don't wait. If you have a vision of what you want to do and you have a dream, you have to go today. Because like I said before, life just isn't guaranteed. You just don't know what's going to happen in the next 5 minutes. So if you don't know how to do something, just do it, because that's how you're going to learn. If someone asked me to do anything when I first started, even if I did not know how to do it, I would do it. I remember I had to do a perm and I didn't pay attention in beauty school on how to do perm. So I remember having to do it in the salon, and, you know, the woman who was training me was like, can you do this? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, just show me exactly how you like it, because I want to make you happy. I want to do it the way you would do it. She's like, okay. From the one time she showed me, I'm like, okay, I could do it. And then it would become a skill. Working with a celebrity, you have to really build trust, because you're really immersed in their life every day. When I come to work, you know, I'm not going to a salon. I'm going into their homes. I'm going into their hotel rooms. I'm seeing their life. I'm seeing their family. I'm seeing their kids. I'm seeing their relationships. I'm seeing it all in the raw. And it's very important to observe and keep things to yourself and build that trust with your clients. And that's helped me in my career. Being confident in my work is also something super important, because I tell my assistants and I tell people when I'm doing a class or training that it's really easy to get your foot in the door. It's really hard to stay in the room. And so you can get in, and especially today with social media, you can show really amazing work and then get there and you don't have the skill to continue and to stay there. And so building confidence, I think, comes from actually getting education and really knowing what it is you're doing. And I think for me, I feel the most confident when I know what I'm talking about, and I really feel really prepared, and I feel like I know the skills that I need to attack a project.
Yeah. What would you say to your younger self?
I would say to my younger self that I'm very proud of you, and everything you did was right. All the mistakes, all the struggles, you did it and you made it through, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you very much, Cesar.
Of course.
Cesar's journey from salons to red carpets is impressive in so many ways. He is an artist who has established himself as a celebrity hairstylist, creative director, high-end brands collaborator, and global trendsetter. The chances are high that you have seen and admired his work through the artist and pop icons he styles. Now, you will remember his name. Thank you for listening to this new episode of Cutting Edge, the podcast, an exclusive podcast series by L'Oréal Professionnel Products. Don't hesitate to subscribe and rate this podcast. And remember, all our episodes are available on every major streaming platform.